My cheating wife was catfished and kidnapped by a man she met on Words with Friends. Hey Reddit, I never thought I'd be sharing something like this on the internet, but I need to get this off my chest and maybe, just maybe, help someone avoid making the same mistakes. It all started a few months ago when my wife, for the sake of anonymity let's call her Karen, began playing Words with Friends. You know, that app-based word game similar to Scrabble with the chat feature. It seemed innocent enough, and I never suspected anything was wrong. But little did I know, it would become the catalyst for the complete unraveling of our lives. Now, our marriage wasn't perfect, but whose is? We had our ups and downs, but I thought we were in a good place. I was working hard to provide for our family, and she was a stay-at-home mom to our 2 beautiful kids. We had a nice house, a great group of friends, and were generally living the suburban dream. But later we learned that Karen had started chatting with this guy on Words with Friends. They'd exchange messages every day, and it became clear that it was more than just a casual friendship. They moved their conversations over to Kik, a messaging app, and things escalated quickly from there. I had no idea any of this was happening, of course. I was busy working, taking care of the kids, and trying to keep our family life running smoothly. But Karen was becoming more and more distant, and I could sense that something was off. I tried to talk to her about it, but she'd always brush me off, saying that everything was fine. Fast forward a couple of months, and out of nowhere Karen tells me that she's going to visit her sister for the afternoon. I thought it was a little strange to leave so abruptly, but I trusted her and didn't think much of it. It was a Saturday, so I just took care of the kids and went about our normal weekend routine. What I didn't know was that Karen had arranged to meet this guy, let's call him Ed, at a hotel for the afternoon. She had never seen him in person, but they had exchanged pictures and intimate messages, and she was excited to finally meet him face to face. They met at the hotel, and things started off fine. They had dinner, talked, and eventually went up to the hotel room. But that's when everything went horribly wrong. Ed drugged Karen, rendering her nearly unconscious. He then walked her very weakened body down to his car. Now, this is where things get absolutely insane. A hotel worker, who we'll call Mary, happened to see Ed escorting Karen out of the hotel. Mary knew Karen and I from high school, and she knew we were married. She also recognized Ed from checking in earlier. She noticed that Karen was walking all limp-legged and had her sunglasses on inside. Something didn't seem right, and Mary knew she had to do something. As Ed loaded Karen into the car, Mary managed to snap a picture of the car and the license plate. She then checked the room registry and saw that Ed was from out of town. Concerned, she called the police and explained the situation. They took her report seriously and started investigating right away. Meanwhile, I was at home, completely oblivious to what was happening. The police called me and told me that my wife might have been kidnapped. I was shocked, devastated, and scared out of my mind. I had no idea what to do, but the police told me they were doing everything they could to find her. I called my mother and she started driving over to my house to watch the kids. I went to my neighbor's house and asked if she could watch the kids for 20 minutes until my mother got there. She stopped what she was doing immediately and walked over to keep them. I calmly kissed my children and drove away. They had no idea what was going on. I drove to the hotel where her car was and met an officer there. Talk about horror. An absolute fucking nightmare. I just kept fearing the worst, and then the idea of having to tell our children what happened if the worst case became a reality. Well, that put me into tears several times. My father met me at the hotel, consoling me and helping me do everything we could to assist the police and help find her. We called her sister, her parents, her friends, and no one had a clue as to what was going on. She had kept this a secret from everyone. Thank God for Mary and her instincts. It felt like I was at the hotel for days. They let us take a table in a conference room and gave us some notebooks and pens. Everyone there was terrified as well. One of the workers even brought us food from the restaurant, but I couldn't even eat. Talk about a hopeless and gut-wrenching feeling. I mean, my blood pressure must have been 250 over 200. It was the most stressed out I've ever been in my life. Finally, we got the word. After just a few hours, another officer in a town about 2 hours away caught up with Ed and Karen at a gas station. Karen was still passed out in the back seat from the drugs Ed had given her. The officer recognized the car from the photo. He arrested Ed on the spot and had called for backup to ensure Karen's safety. The police brought her back home, and I was absolutely thrilled to have her home safe and sound. But I was also furious. I mean, extremely furious. As the details of what had happened came to light, I learned that Karen had cheated on me with Ed before he drugged her. She said she had no idea what he was really there to do. She thought he really loved her. Yeah, she said that. What the hell? My world was shattered, and I couldn't believe that the woman I loved, the mother of my children, would do something like this to our family. For a few days, I tried to keep it together for the sake of our kids, but the anger and resentment just kept building up inside me. Finally, I couldn't take it anymore, and I confronted Karen. I told her to pack her shit and get out of our house. She cried, begged for forgiveness, but I couldn't find it in my heart to forgive her. She had destroyed our family, our trust, and our future together. I couldn't trust her for anything. How could I trust her with our kids? How could I trust her in any capacity? The complete lack of judgment was just too much for me to deal with. So Karen moved back in with her parents, and I filed for divorce. The court sided with me, and she lost custody of the kids, citing her inability to make good decisions. I knew it was the right thing to do, but it still broke my heart to see our family torn apart like this. Word got out about what had happened, and Karen's reputation was ruined. People in our community couldn't believe that she had thrown away her entire life for a fling with a complete stranger. It was a cautionary tale that no one could have ever predicted. So now, here I am, a single dad doing my best to pick up the pieces and move on. It hasn't been easy, but I'm trying to stay strong for my kids and make the best of a terrible situation. And that's why I wanted to share my story here on Reddit. I want people to learn from my experience and understand the importance of open, honest communication within a marriage. If you're unhappy with your partner, don't cheat, don't risk your life, and don't risk your family's future. Be brave enough to have the tough conversations, and if you can't make it work, then have the courage to leave and start anew. Trust me, it's far better than the alternative. In the end, I'm grateful that Karen was found and brought back safely. It could have ended so much worse, and I shudder to think what might have happened if Mary hadn't been there to save her. But I also know that our lives will never be the same, and I'll always be haunted by the events that unfolded. I hope that by sharing my story, I can help someone avoid making the same mistakes that Karen did. Life is too short, and our loved ones are too precious to risk it all for a fleeting moment of passion. Remember to cherish what you have, communicate openly, and always be true to yourself and those you love. And I almost forgot to mention this. I went to the bank the next week and pulled $5,000 from savings and took it to the hotel. Mary tried not to accept the money, so I left it with her manager and he said he would ensure she took it with her. She called me later that day, crying and thanking me for the money and telling me that she didn't want a reward. She said the reward was Karen's safety. Mary is a great person and I hope she was finally able to spend that money on something nice for herself. That was a heavy one. Let us know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. When you subscribe, be sure to click the notification bell. Click here for more Tangled threads.